Well, things have certainly taken a turn for the chill. A little overcast, some rain. Hasn't stopped me smoking that brisket, though. Got about 30 more minutes or so till I have to go out there and pull that off. So you and I got a little bit of reading to get done, and we're going to do it pronto. Thought I'd start with an excerpt from Jim Harrison, the great poet, essayist, novelist, friend of Anthony Bourdain's, foodie. Since I'm cooking food and I got my mind in a foodie place. Jim Harrison. Small portions are for smallish and inactive people. When it was all the rage, I was soundly criticized for saying that cuisine minceur was the moral equivalent of the foxtrot. Life is too short for me to approach a meal with the mincing steps of a Japanese prostitute. The craving is for the genuine rather than the esoteric. It is far better to avoid expense account restaurants than to carp about them. Who wants to be the Emerald Lagasse of credit card feedback? I'm afraid that eating in restaurants reflects one's experiences with, say, movies, art galleries, novels, music, that is, characterized by mild amusement, but with an overall feeling of stupidity and shame. Better to cook for oneself. Words to live by. Jim Harrison. And today, we're going to do Chapter 4 of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. Chapter 4, titled, Hideous Music and the Sound of Many Shotguns. Rude Vibes on Saturday Evening in Las Vegas. We finally got into the suite around dusk, and my attorney was immediately on the phone to room service, ordering 4 club sandwiches, 4 shrimp cocktails, a quart of rum, and 9 fresh grapefruits. Vitamin C, he explained. We're going to need all we can get. I agreed. By this time, the drink was beginning to cut the acid, and my hallucinations were down to a tolerable level. The room service waiter had a vaguely reptilian cast to his features, but I was no longer seeing huge pterodactyls lumbering around the corridors in pools of fresh blood. The only problem now was a gigantic neon sign outside the window, blocking our view of the mountains. Millions of colored balls running around a very complicated track, strange symbols and filigree, giving off a loud hum. Look outside, I said. Why? Well, there's a big machine in the sky, some kind of a electric snake coming straight at us. Shoot it, said my attorney. Not yet, I said. I want to study its habits. He went over to the corner and began pulling on a chain to close the drapes. Look, he said, you got to stop this talk about snakes and leeches and lizards and that stuff. It's making me sick. Don't worry, I said. Worry? Jesus, I almost went crazy down there in the bar. They'll never let us back in that place, not after you screamed at the press table. What scream? You bastard, he said. I left you alone for 3 minutes. You scared the shit out of those people. Waving that goddamn marlin spike around and yelling about reptiles. You're lucky I came back in time. They were ready to call the cops. I said you were only drunk and that I was taking you up to your room for a cold shower. Hell, the only reason they gave us the press pass was to get us out of there. He was pacing around nervously. Jesus, that scene straightened me out all right. I must have some drugs. What have you done with the mescaline? In the kit bag, I said. He opened the bag and ate 2 pellets while I got the tape machine going. Maybe you should only eat 1 of those, he said. The acid's still working in you. I agreed. We have to go out to the track before dark, I said. But we have time to watch the TV news. Let's cover up this grapefruit and make a fine rum punch, maybe toss in a blotter. Where's the car? Well, we gave it to somebody in the parking lot, he said. I have the ticket in my briefcase. Well, what's the number? I'll call it down and have them wash the bastard. Get rid of that dust and grime. Good idea, he said, but he couldn't find the ticket. Well, we're fucked, I said. We'll never convince them to give us that car without proof. He thought for a moment, then picked up the phone and asked for the garage. This is Dr. Gonzo, an 850, he said. I seem to have lost my parking stub for that red convertible I left with you, but I want the car washed and ready to go in 30 minutes. Can you send up a duplicate stub? What? Oh, well, yeah, that's fine. He hung up and reached for the hash pipe. No problem, he said. That man remembers my face. That's good, I said. They'll probably have a big net ready for us when we show up. He shook his head. As your attorney, I advise you not to worry about me. The TV news was about the Laos invasion, a series of horrifying disasters, explosions and twisted wreckage, men fleeing in terror, Pentagon generals babbling insane lies. Turn that shit off, screamed my attorney. Let's get out of here. A wise move. Moments after we picked up the car, my attorney went into a drug coma and ran a red light on Main Street before I could bring us under control. I propped him up in the passenger seat and took the wheel myself, feeling fine and extremely sharp. All around me in traffic, I could see people talking, and I wanted to hear what they were saying. All of them. But the shotgun mic was in the trunk, and I decided to leave it there. Las Vegas is not the kind of town where you want to drive around Main Street aiming a black bazooka-looking instrument at people. Turn up the radio, turn up the tape machine, look into the sunset up ahead, roll the windows down for a better taste of the cool desert wind. Ah, yes. This is what it's about. Total control now. Tooling along the main drag on a Saturday night in Las Vegas. Two good old boys in a fire apple red convertible. Stoned, ripped, twisted. Good people. Great God, what is this music? Well, the battle hymn of Lieutenant Calley. As we go marching on, when I reach my final campground in that land beyond the sun, and the great commander asked me, what did you ask? What did he ask you, Rusty? Did you fight or did you run? What did you tell him, Rusty? We responded to their rifle fire with everything we had. Oh, by the way, some more brilliant Ralph Steadman illustrations. No, I can't go on hearing this. It must be the drugs. I glanced over at my attorney, and he was staring up at the sky, and I could see that his brain had gone off to that campground beyond the sun. Thank Christ he can't hear this music, I thought. It would drive him into a racist frenzy. Mercifully, the song ended, but my mood was already shattered, and now the fiendish cactus juice took over, plunging me into a subhuman funk as we suddenly came up on the turnoff to the Mint Gun Club. 1 mile, the sign said. But even a mile away, I could hear the crackling scream of two-stroke bike engines winding out, and then coming closer. I heard another sound. Shotguns. No mistaking that flat, hollow boom. I stopped the car. What the hell is going on down there? I rolled up the windows and eased down the gravel road, hunched low on the wheel, until I saw about a dozen figures pointing shotguns into the air, firing at regular intervals. Standing on a slab of concrete out here in the Mesquite Desert is a scraggly little oasis in a wasteland north of Vegas. They were clustered with their shotguns, about 50 yards away from a one-story concrete block house, half shaded by 10 or 12 trees and surrounded by cop cars, bike trailers, and motorcycles. Of course, the Mint Gun Club. These lunatics weren't letting anything interfere with their target practice. Here were about 100 bikers, mechanics, and assorted motorsport types milling around in the pit area, signing for tomorrow's race, idly sipping beers and appraising each other's machinery. And right in the middle of all this, oblivious to everything but the clay pigeons flipping out of the traps every 5 seconds or so, the shotgun people never missed a beat. Why not, I thought. The shooting provided a certain rhythm, a sort of steady bass line to the high-pitched chaos of the bike scene. I parked the car and wandered into the crowd, leaving my attorney in his coma. I bought a beer and watched the bikes checking in. Many 405 Husqvarnas, high-tuned Swedish Fireballs, also many Yamahas, Kawasaki's, a few 500 Triumphs, Makos here and there, a CZ, a Persang, all very fast, super light dirt bikes. No hogs in this league, not even a Sportster. That would be like entering our Great Red Shark in the dune buggy competition. Maybe I should do that. Thought. Sign my attorney up as the driver, then send him out into a starting line with a head full of ether and acid. How could they handle it? Nobody would dare go out to the track with a person that crazy. He'd roll on the first turn and take out 4 or 5 dune buggies. Kamikaze trip. What's the entry fee? I asked the desk man. $250, he said. What if I told you I had a Vincent Black shadow? He stared up at me, saying nothing, not friendly. I noticed he was wearing a .38 revolver on his belt. Forget it, he said. My driver's sick anyway. His eyes narrowed. Your driver ain't the only one sick around here, buddy. Well, he has a bone in his throat, I said. What? The man was getting ugly, but suddenly his eyes switched away. He was staring at something else. My attorney, no longer wearing his Danish sunglasses, no longer wearing his Acapulco shirt, a very crazed-looking person, half naked and breathing heavily. What's the trouble here? He croaked. This man is my client. Are you prepared to go to court? I grabbed his shoulder and gently spun him round. Never mind, I said. It's the Black Shadow. They won't accept it. Wait a minute, he shouted. What do you mean they won't accept it? Have you made a deal with these pigs? Well, certainly not, I said, pushing him along towards the gate. But you notice they're all armed. They're the only people here without guns. We're the only people here without guns. Can't you hear the shooting over there? He paused, listened for an instant, then suddenly began running towards the car. You cocksuckers, he screamed over his shoulders. We'll be back. By the time we got the shark back on the highway, he was able to talk. Jesus Christ, how did we get mixed up with that gang of psychotic bigots? Let's get the fuck out of this town. Those scumbags are trying to kill us. And thus ends Chapter 4, Fear and Loathing by Hunter Thompson. I've got a brisket to see to. You all be safe.